All right, guys, this morning we're looking at how to do a comparative market analysis, or CMA. The purpose in a CMA is to get a good estimate or good idea of what a property is likely going to appraise for at the end of the day. And this is helpful both when you are getting ready to do a listing and also when you're representing buyers, because you don't want to get your buyer under contract on something for, grossly more than what it potentially is going to appraise for, because if they're not able to pay the difference or the seller is unwilling to come down on the purchase price, then your buyer is going to stand to lose a decent chunk of change in the form of due diligence and inspection fees, appraisal fees, that type of thing. So it's equally important, in my opinion, for helping buyers and helping sellers. So I haven't done any research on this property. This is an upcoming listing that I have, so we're going to do this one together. The address is 123 Saddle Ridge Court. So when I do a CMA, the very first thing that I do is open the MLS and I type the address in the search bar. And the reason for this is if it has sold in the past, which you'll see this one has sold twice and it expired once previously, then we can pull a lot of information from this. Excuse me. So this last sale I'm going to pull up, that's normally the most recent. We'll see the basic information on the property. You can see who listed it and who sold it. You can see that I sold it back 2020 to the current owner. It sold for $166,000. We can see that it's a 1,531 square foot home. It's one story. It has 3 bedrooms. It has 2 full bathrooms, no half bathrooms. And we can get a general idea of what the property looks like, both inside and outside. And this is best case scenario, that you have really good interior and exterior photos, because you do get a good idea of what the property looks like. Because when we're looking at comps, we want to find the most comparable property to the subject property. If we can not make adjustments, then that would be best. You're almost always going to have to make some adjustments, but of course, finding a property that is super similar, where you only have to do a couple small little things, is always going to be best. So we have a general idea of what this property looks like. We know how big it is. We know when it was built. It was built in 1984. However, if you look through the photos again, does this look like a 1984 home? No, it doesn't. It's been updated, right? It's got updated flooring. It's got some updated cabinets. These are not 1984 cabinets. It has a little bit older appliances. It does not have solid surface countertops, but it's got a lot going for it. So it is a cute little house. The bedrooms are a good size. So let's work on finding comps. I always find comps first before we do anything to actually build the CMA. So there's several different ways to do this. I'm going to show you the way that I do it and the way that works pretty well for me. I already have this address open in one tab. I'm going to open it up in a new tab as well. So I'm going to have the exact same thing opened in 2 different tabs. So the way that I do that is I click back up here in the search box, and it brings up the same listings we had. Instead of clicking right here, because if I click anywhere in this grayed out text area, it's just going to basically reload the page to see what I'm already seeing. Instead, I'm going to click New Tab. And now I have 2 tabs with the exact same information, right? So why in the world would I do that? Well, I do that because I'm going to use 1 tab to search and 1 tab to reference. So I want to make sure that I have easy access to the information for this particular home. So it doesn't matter which tab you use to search. I'm going to use this one. So we're going to click right here where it says Edit Search. And you'll see that there are no search parameters in yet, with the exception of this long number here under MLS. And this MLS number is the MLS number for this listing that we're looking at from that previous listing. We're going to take that out in a minute, but we're not going to just yet. So if the property is in a subdivision, you normally want to try to stay in the subdivision when you're looking at comps. That's not always possible. There's not always comps in the subdivision. But if possible, always stay in the subdivision. You can see that this subdivision is Raintree. And the reason you want to stay in the subdivision if possible is because even a home that's just right outside of the subdivision, it may sell drastically different than a home in the subdivision. Some subdivisions are not the best, and some subdivisions are really freaking awesome and offer a lot of amenities that a home just outside of the subdivision doesn't offer. And so a home that has access to a tennis court and a swimming pool, and maybe lawn maintenance is included in the HOA fees and that kind of stuff, that's not going to be a comparable sale, typically speaking, to a home that is outside of the subdivision and offers none of those things. So we're going to start by setting the subdivision search. So we can see again, this is in Raintree subdivision. I'm going to go back to my search. We're going to click Add Field to the search, and we're going to do subdivision. I typed there's subdivision. We're going to start typing Raintree, and I'm going to click it. If I get it too fast, just go back and watch it because I'm doing this in real time, okay? So we added subdivision. That's important. We want to get the heated square foot as close as possible. Typically, you want to stay within 20% plus or minus. So I'm going to pull up a calculator, and you don't have to be this specific. We just, kind of stay in that general parameter. But for the purpose of this, we're going to be real specific. So 1531 times 0.2, 306.2. That's 20% of 1531. So we'll just say 306 square feet. So we're going to say 1531 minus 306. That's my low end, 1225. So back over here on my search criteria, I'm going to click the plus, and I'm going to type heated, and click on square feet, heated, primary. It brings up the search box. Again, we're looking at 1225 as minimum. And we're going to do the same thing. 306 was our number. So 1531? 1531 plus 306 this time. So 1837 is the top end. 1837. Cool. So we have our square feet set. Now, this home is 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. Let's go ahead and add in that, the number of bedrooms. So we're going to click the plus and type bedrooms, number of bedrooms. We're going to say 3 to 3. We don't want a 4 bedroom if possible. We're going to add all the search criteria to begin with. And chances are, in most circumstances, unless it's an area that just has a lot of recent sales, you're not going to have many comps when you put in all this stuff. But you could always take some of the criteria off, and we'll do that in a minute. We're also going to add bathrooms. So number of baths. Actually, I didn't want that. I wanted number of baths total, not number of baths full. So number of baths total is 2. So we do 2 to 2. We're going to add in the status because we only want to look at sold property. So I typed in the word status. We click on status, and we want closed. In a normal market, meaning not our market now, when homes are not selling in a day, then you typically can go back 6, maybe even 12 months. But I really like to stay as close to today's date as possible, so I like to set this at 3 months to begin with. So you'll see this is set at March 2021. So we are going to go to December of 2021. And choose today's date, which is the 30th. So that's exactly 3 months prior to today's date. So we have sold date. Now this home was built in 1984, but we've already said that the home doesn't look like a 1984 home, right? It's been updated. So that's the difference in the effective age versus the actual age. The effective age is not, there's not a definition for that per se, except it's your opinion of the age of the home given the updates and things. So for instance, you could have a home built in 1920 that has been gutted down to the studs and the floor joists and everything in it's brand new, even though the home is, 102 years old at this point. Sorry, phone stinging. Then, the effective age may only be 5 years old or 10 years old. It's your opinion, right? And that's the same way that appraisers are going to do this. But that being said, I don't adjust for age very often. The only time I adjust for age is if it is a 1984 home, and darn, it looks like a 1984 home, right? It's got all the original shag carpet and stuff that, even before then, really, I guess, was that. But anyway, if it's not been updated, then I will adjust sometimes for age. But right this minute, I'm going to leave that parameter out. So just to recap, we have the subdivision, we have the heated square footage, we have the number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, and we have closed transactions in the last 3 months. Let's see what that gives us. Actually, one more thing we need to add, because single-story homes do not value the same as 2-story homes. So we want stories, is what I typed in down here, and we want 1 story. Cool. All right. Now you'll see it says we only have 1 result, and that's because we still have this MLS number in here. So we're going to click the little tiny X here. And let's see. So we actually have 3 properties that meet all of that criteria, and that's good. We need, typically speaking, at least 3 properties to do a CMA, but as you'll see here in a minute, more than likely all 3 of these aren't going to be perfect comps. But let's take a look. So I'm going to go from the Edit Search tab now over to the Detail tab. These all 3 may actually work. So let's see here. We've got 108 Raintree Circle. This is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home. It's 1,524 square feet. Built in 1992, so similar age, similar size, similar number of bedrooms, bathrooms. Let's see if it's been updated as well. Very similar construction style to the subject property. Let's take another look at it. Garage sticks out. You've got a little front porch. Very, very similar construction style in this home. If the interior's been updated, which it has, I would say this is a phenomenal comp. Yeah, look at that. The floor plan is even similar. Kitchen is similar. This is a really good comp. It's got a fireplace. Our subject has a fireplace. I don't personally make adjustments for fireplaces. Yeah, this one actually is, I think, like a little more updated than the subject property. Especially that bathroom. The bathroom's gorgeous. All right, cool. So that's a really good comp. So I'm going to click right here. Follow my mouse. I'm going to click this little box. That helps me keep track of this, and you'll see now up here too it says selected. So I have results and I have selected. If you had 14 results when you were going through here and I wanted to pick the best 3, then I'm going to click this little check boxes. And when I go to selected, you'll see it gets rid of all the others and it only shows me the ones that I checked. But right now we're going to go back to results. Take a look at the second comp. Second comp, built in 2001, similar age, similar square footage, number of bedrooms, bathrooms. Everything is pretty similar, but you'll see here, this says current lease in effect until November 2021. When did this home sell? It sold in January of 2022, but it was only on the market for 3 days. When did it go under contract? It went under contract on 11/11/2021, so it was under contract for a long time, most of November, all of December, and the beginning of January. And the reason for that is whoever bought this home wasn't looking to become a landlord. They were looking to move into the home. And the lease was in effect until November 30th, so it still took another month. So one of a couple of things, either the tenants did some damage in the home and they had to wait to get the home repaired or something like that, or they had trouble getting the tenants out, and that's why it took so long. But either way, you see that under stipulation of sale, it's listed as none. Okay, what does that mean, stipulation of sale? Well, if this was a foreclosed property or it was being sold as a cash only deal, or it was an estate sale or something like that, then that would be a stipulation. And those stipulations can affect the value and marketability of the home. So unless we are looking to comp out a home that is also in foreclosure or something like that, then we want to make sure that the comps that we use are not, they don't have any stipulation of sale. And you can actually add that over to your search criteria so that you don't have to manually go through it. Just do stipulation of sale and put none. Now it's not going to change my results because all 3 of my results were already a none, but you can do that, okay? So that's also a really good comp. Let's look at the inside. Inside is in pretty darn good shape. That carpet honestly looks brand new. That may have been part of the delay. They may have had to do some updates and things from the tenants that were in there. This home isn't as updated as the subject property, but it's still a good comp. Let's select it as well. Go down to this last comp that it pulled up. 304 Fall Drive. This is, again, a similar construction style. It's a little bigger than the subject property, 764 square feet, but it's still 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, built in 99. Looking through the comments real quick just to make sure there's nothing weird in there. No stipulation of sale. It was on the market for 6 days. It sold back in February of this year. So normally it doesn't work this way where you do your first search and find 3 good comps, but in this circumstance it just happened to be that way. And these are all 3 really good comps. I'm going to use these comps. So we have all 3 of our comps selected. Again, we're going to go to selected. It's not going to change anything on this condition because we only had 3 to begin with, but this is the normal steps that you would do, so I want to show you that. So now we see only those 3 comps. So let's go back to our other tab where we have our subject property pulled up. We're going to go back to detail. And then right here, you'll see a button that says RPR. Click on RPR. So RPR is the Realtor's property resource, and this is something you have access to because you're a member of NAR. As you scroll down, you'll see it has the basic information about the property, and it has kind of an estimated value. is RVM. Let's click on View Details, and I want you to see what comps they used in coming up with this estimated value. They're saying the range is 173 to 199. The properties that they used are Spring Drive, Rain Tree. So they've got one that sold for 200, one at 183. Square foot is pretty similar. Year built's pretty similar. Now here's a whole bunch of other stuff, okay? So these are recently closed, they say, and these are just off market. So these were closed at some point. How far back do these go? This closed back in 2021, so these are all older comps. And you know our market's been crazy, right? So properties have appreciated a decent amount in that period of time, you know, since July of last year. So I would not use these comps. But this is just another thing to use to kind of get an idea of what maybe the value could be. But I'll tell you, don't use the comps when you're doing your CMA that RPR comes up with, and I'll show you why. So you'll see as we go through here, it's got all the basic info. If for some reason there was not a previous listing in the MLS for whatever property you're doing the CMA on, you can go to RPR and just type in the address, and 9 times out of 10 it will bring up all the information. So you'll still have this basic facts, 3 bed, 2 bath, the square footage, so on and so forth. As you scroll down, it has the public facts versus the listing facts. And in this case, it's exactly the same. So I will almost guarantee that the listing agent, when this home was listed previously, did not go out and measure the house, because it's very uncommon that the tax records are exactly correct if you go out and measure to a tenth. So anyway, but in this case, it's both 1531. Everything else matches up pretty darn good. So we've confirmed all the facts already. If you scroll down, it will tell you the schools that this home is in their district. It has the history on the property for pricing. This is also where you can find your tax information. So this is helpful when it comes time to list a property, because you do have to do a seller's net sheet, and you need to know what that total tax amount is for the property so that you can do a prorated tax estimate for them. You'll see there, this is tax year 2021. Onslow County just did a reassessment, and so more than likely this tax amount for 2022 is going to be more. All right, let's go back up there, because we're working on the CMA, not a listing. So we're going to go to create CMA, which is right here. It pulls up the information on this. You've got sales comparison analysis versus comparative analysis. Use the sales comparison analysis. You do not get the option to make adjustments to the comps if you do comparative analysis. So you always want to do a sales comparison analysis. We've already confirmed the home's facts. We did that a minute ago. Now we want to search for comps. And I did a comp this thing out before because I sold this house before. So we're going to go to Edit. And these were the comps when I sold this property back in 2020. I did a CMA for the buyer back then to make sure that we weren't getting anywhere that we didn't need to be as far as price goes. So back then, the comps were 147 to 154. We've already seen by the comps that we chose over here, we're much higher than that, right? So we need to get rid of these, and it's pretty easy. Just hit remove from comps. Hit OK, remove from comps. OK, remove from comps. So now we have no comps. You have the ability to use RPR to search for comps. That's what you could do right here with this map. Don't do that. And the reason that I say don't do that is because RPR doesn't use the MLS to get its data. It uses tax records to get its data. And the difference is that the tax records include homes that were sold not by an agent. So FSBOs, or, I sold a home to my brother or something like that. Off-market properties, off-market sales. Those are not comps because they are not arm's length transactions. They are not sold in an open and competitive market. So they are not to be used as comps. So we want to use the comps that we found from the MLS. So we're going to hit add a known property. And we're going to go back to our comps. You go to the detail for each comps, and then up in the top left-hand corner, you've got an MLS number. Highlight it, double-click it to highlight it, right-click it, and then do copy, and we're going to paste it. Right-click and paste. Hit add. Do the same thing for all 3 of those. Excuse me. Here we go. All right, so third one here, copy, paste. So we have 3 good comps. We're going to hit update, valuation, and close. Now we need to adjust our comps. So hit adjust comps. On the left-hand side here is your subject property. We're never going to make any adjustments to the subject. Okay, it doesn't even allow you to make adjustments to the subject. It doesn't have that option. Because we never adjust the subject. We always adjust the comps to be more similar to the subject. So let's go through this line by line. All properties are single family, total number of rooms. Our subject is 5, 5, 6, and 7. Now, this one is bigger, but what is a room? This is something people get confused a lot. A room, typically speaking, is anything except bathrooms, laundry rooms, and hallways. So you're talking about living areas, bedrooms, kitchens. Those are considered rooms. I never put any weight on the number of rooms listed in these listings because a lot of agents don't understand how to count rooms. So I feel like it's inaccurate information. So I don't ever go by that. That really doesn't make any difference in our CMA. Number of bedrooms. Each of these homes have 3 bedrooms. Each of these homes have 2 bathrooms. So we're good there. We don't have to make any changes. Partial baths. Neither one of them have a half bath. So living area, heated square feet, we do need to make adjustments here. And there's no such thing as a standard adjustment, meaning that you're going to do the exact same thing for every single property, but there are common adjustments. And I'll send out a sheet to you that has these common adjustments listed on there. And I don't always go by that sheet either, by the way. It depends on the property. It depends on the geographical area the home is in. Some subdivisions, they're more expensive than other subdivisions. So I may assign more weight, more value per heated square foot in those areas. If it's a beachfront property, I'm going to do more. If it's a manufactured home, I'm going to do less. Generally speaking, though, if it is a traditional stick-built home, then I'm going to assign $40 a square foot to my square foot adjustment. So we're going to pull up our calculator again. Our subject property is 1,531 square feet. Our first comp is 1,524 square feet, so just a few square feet difference. So we're going to minus that. That gives us a total of 7 square feet. We're going to multiply that by $40 a square foot, and that gives us $280. So the subject is bigger than the comp, so we want to make the comp more similar to the subject. So we're going to add this 280 to the subject or the comp. The same thing over here, except comp number 2 is bigger than the subject property. So we're going to subtract with 1,557 minus 1,531. That gives us 26 square feet. We're going to multiply that by $40 a square foot. Now that's $1,040. Now this case, this comp is bigger than the subject, so we want to subtract this 1,040, or do we want to add this 1,040? We want to make this more similar to this, so we're going to subtract that 1,040. Same principle over here. It's bigger. So we want 1,764 minus 1,531. That's 233 square feet times $40. Again, this one is bigger than the subject, so we're going to minus 9,320. That's a little much. I don't like to make comps or make adjustments that big, but this property is a really, really good comp for this for the subject property, and it technically falls within that criteria. Okay, of plus or minus 20%. Lot size typically does not matter. Typically doesn't make a hill of beans difference. The only time that may make a difference is if you've got a 0.27 for your subject and comp number 1 over here had 5 acres or something like that. We can talk about acreage at a different time because that's a conversation all on its own. But for this particular transaction, this home, I'm not going to make any changes for acreage. Now garage, our subject property has a 1-car garage. Even if it's wide enough on the inside for 2 cars, which I feel like this garage probably is, we still consider this a 1-car garage, and the reason for that is because it only has 1 car width of an entry. You can only get 1 car side by side through that door. So we do have 1 garage space. Let's see what the agent said on garage, just to see if they were right. Yep, so they have 1. They have it right. You see that often they have that wrong. Let's go back to our comps though, and you can see that this is actually a 2-car garage, I believe. Let's look and see what the agent said. because they should know more about this house than I do. So they have it as a 2-car garage. Comp number 2, again, I believe is going to be 2-car garage. There it is. Comp number 3, they have it as a 2-car garage. So we do need to make an adjustment for that. Garages are kind of tricky, but typically speaking, your standard garage is just a concrete slab with some walls and a roof, right? Oftentimes it's still 2x4 studs, or it's just got unfinished sheetrock in it. If that's the case, and that's the type of garage that we're talking about, I typically do $3,000 to $5,000 adjustment for that. So we go back to garage. The subject does have a garage, but it's a 1-car, right? Comp 1 has a garage, but it's a 2-car, so that is better in a sense, right? It's more than what the subject has, so we're going to minus. I'm going to minus $3,000 from that comp. Same principle for each of these comps, because each of the comps had a 2-car garage, whereas the subject only had a 1-car garage. The garage square feet, we're not worried about that. All right, pool. None of these have a pool, so it doesn't matter. You can put no in there if you want to. Location, 10-year view. None of these matter in this particular home. Style, they're all a similar style. Quality of construction, this is where you would assign Q1 through Q6. We'll talk about that later. That's not pertinent for this. We don't have to make any adjustments for that. Year built, 84, 92, 2001, 99. They're all pretty similar. And again, all the homes are in an updated condition, so I'm not going to make any adjustments for year built or actual age. Same thing with condition. Functional utility. So let's say that one of these homes was built in 1920, and homes were built differently. They had real narrow hallways and low ceilings and short little narrow doors and things like that, but it was also not uncommon to only have 1 bathroom in real old houses. And oftentimes that bathroom was safe in a bedroom or through a bedroom. So if you had a home that was a 3-bedroom home, but only had 1 bathroom, and you had to go through a bedroom to get to that bathroom, that's an issue with the functional utility of this home. Now, typically, interior functional issues like that with functional utility can be resolved. But in this case, all 3 of these, there's no functional utility issues. So we're not going to worry about that. Heating, they all have electric heat pumps. Cooling, same thing. Deck, patio, deck, none. Now, there is a difference in a deck and a patio. I doubt, though, that these actually have decks. They all seem to have patios. Let's just look and make sure there's nothing on the outside and the rear of the home. And yep, this one does have a small little deck. That's 526, but in my personal opinion, that's not really worth an adjustment. That's a small little deck. Let's look over here at the photos. Yeah, that has a patio. That's not a deck. And then last but not least, there's also no deck here. There's a small little patio. All 3 of the properties have a fenced-in backyard with wooden fencing, so we don't have to do that. And this building, does that count as an adjustment? Should you give some value to that? No, and the reason for that is it's not on a permanent foundation. You can see it sitting on blocks, so that is technically personal property. All right, so no adjustments there. They all have a slab foundation. They don't have basements. They all have 1 fireplace. I don't make adjustments for fireplaces anyway, but they do all have 1 fireplace. They all have the same type of shingles. So really, that is all the adjustments we need to make on these comps. Now, if you have a home that you feel like is much, much more similar to the subject property than any of the other homes, then we can assign it more weight. And personally, I think this 108 Raintree Circle, just looking at the features, the age, and the construction style, I feel like this home is much more similar to the subject, or at least more similar to the subject than these other 2 comps are. So I'm going to assign it more weight. And the way that we do that is down here under comp weighting. So you can hit edit, and you can hit edit on any of these 3. It's going to let you choose or edit all of them at the same time. But that address we're wanting to put more weight on is 108 Raintree. And there's not a rule about how heavy you weight these things, but personally I put 50% typically if I find that there's a comp that is significantly more similar than the other ones. That leaves the other ones being 25%. for a total of 100%. And let me show you how that works real quick. We're going to hit apply and close. So how does that change your value? Let's do a couple things here. So let's actually change it back. You'll see that the value weighting it at this is 197,300. Let's go back and let's assign 33% back to all of them. 34 on one of them. Cool. So that changes it from 197,300 to 198,780. That actually increases the value. But again, I feel like comp number one is more similar. I'm going to do 50%. Now let me show you how they come up with that. Why it changed the value that way. So based on the adjustments, okay, that means that comp number one would have sold for $193,280. Now we'll see it actually sold for $196,000, right? But we took $3,000 off for garage. We added $280 for heated square footage. So that brought our sale price down just a little bit as an adjusted comp. So what we're going to do is take that adjusted value of $193,280, and we're going to find 50% of that. So times 0.5. That's $96,640. $96,640. Gotta have somewhere to write that. Obviously, I had a few things here. All right, here, just to keep notes here. 96,640, 96,640. That's comp number one. Jeez. Comp number two, 189,960, and we assign 25% value to it, right? So we're going to say times 0.25. That means we're using $47,490 of value from that comp. 47,490, 47,490. And comp number three was at 212,680. That's right here. 212,680, and it was also weighted at 25%. Hang on just a minute. 212,680 times 0.25. 53,170. So I have 53,170 from that. I have 47,490 from comp number two, and $96,640 from comp number one. Let's add those together. It's 47,490 plus 96,640. Look at there, 197,300. We have 197,300. I show you that because when I first started doing this, it could not for the life of me figure out where did they come up with this number, right? Because it says at $129 a square feet. Well, this is 127, 122, 121. That's nowhere in the range, right? This is outside of the range of the heated square feet, but this is where they get that number from. Okay, so 197,300 is our CMA value. We're going to hit update valuation and close. We're going to hit next, create report. We want a valuation workbook. And if you want to, you can put the name and stuff on here. I don't. And the reason that I don't is that, again, if I'm going to do this as a listing presentation, I may end up bringing a buyer to this property. And if I do, I'm going to share this same CMA with my buyer that I shared with my seller. So I don't want my seller's name on the report. I just want the property information in the report. We're going to hit run report. Now it's working on that, okay? It'll let me know when it's ready. In the meantime, because this is a listing, I'm going to look at a couple other things. Because 193, whatever that came into, may not be the best value for this property. And what do I mean by that? Well, obviously that's the CMA. That's where I feel like at the moment I'm very confident that this home would appraise for at least that amount. Okay? So that may be a great list price. But let's see what else is going on in the market. We're back over here on our search tab. I'm going to unselect these actually because I already have used them. I know what I need. We're going to go back to results. I'm going to click detail, and then I'm going to hit edit search. So we have all the same search criteria entered. The only thing we're going to change is instead of looking at closed listings, I'm going to look and see what's active on the market that meets the same criteria. There's two. There are two properties in that subdivision that meet all the other criteria that are actively for sale. Let's see what they're listed at, because that gives us an idea of maybe where we need to be in the market. So we have 2. We have 1 here at 102 Ambray Court. It's been on the market for 40 days. That's way too long for our market currently. 40 days. There are no stipulations of the sale. It's listed at $178,900, and you can see the price was just reduced. Let's see where it was listed at. To do that, we're going to go to history and hit this plus sign right here. You can see it was originally listed at $179,900. They dropped it down to $178,900. Now, do you think that $1,000 difference is going to encourage somebody to bring an offer? Probably not. So why would this agent do that? Well, anytime you make updates to the listing, like a price reduction, it comes back up in the hot sheet, which means it's sent out to everybody that's been added to the automatic notifications from the MLS in that period of time. So in this 40-day period they've had it on the market, there's more than likely a bunch of buyers that's been added by agents in our MLS to receive automatic listing notifications. If you're not setting your buyers up to get that, you should. So when you do this price change, it alerts all of them, and it brings it back into their inbox, and it just repopulates it, right? It makes it top of mind again. So that's why this agent did that. But let's see what's wrong with this property, because it doesn't make any sense for it to be sitting that long. Well, just from the outside, it looks like it probably needs some tender loving care. The roof looks to be in good shape. It looks pretty new. But as you look through the property, you can see that this home was built in, go back to report, this home was built in '84, and it doesn't look like anything's been done to it since 1984. This is why this home isn't selling. There may also be some problems with the house. It's kind of hard to tell just from the photos if the home has, has problems. So let's look at this other comp real quick. It's listed at $189,900. It's a new listing. This is similar to our subject property. The roof is a little older. You can tell by the discoloration. It's a single car garage. It definitely doesn't look like it's been updated much on the outside, but let's take a look through it. So yeah, that's not bad on the inside. It's got a fireplace. Looks like some older vinyl plank style flooring. This home definitely still needs some updating though. It has solid surface countertop, carpet in the bedroom. So that's not a terrible comp. It is a little bit bigger than the subject property. It's been on the market for 2 days. 2 days. Now, in my opinion, this home is not as nice as the subject. Again, here's the subject. So I feel like there's a pretty substantial difference in the two homes, and I feel like the subject is in much better condition, much more updated. But the reason we look at the active listings is to get an idea of when we list this home, what is our competition going to look like? So if I pull this up and I find that there are, 2 homes listed under 200,000 like this, or under even 190,000, we put ours on the market at 193, we're going to be the highest priced home in the neighborhood. And that doesn't mean we would. Let me back up. That's not necessarily a bad thing, right? If you have the nicest home in the neighborhood, maybe you're the highest priced home in the neighborhood. But most people that are looking at a neighborhood aren't super concerned about that stuff. They want to see, hey, where's the best deal and what's the best house I can get for the least amount of money, right? So a home that needs a little bit of updating that's $15,000 less may be more appealing to home buyers than a home that's, more recently updated for $15,000 more, as long as there's no issue with the first one. But on the contrary, if you pull this up and you find that your CMA came in at $193,000, but every active listing that's similar to your subject is listed at $210,000 to $215,000, then geez, you could list for $205,000 to $210,000. Listen to me, to $210,000, and still be the lowest price in the neighborhood. That's the best scenario, right? Let's see what's under contract though. So we're going to hit Edit Search. And we're going to go to Pending. I'm going to hold the Control button and also hit Pending with Showings. So these are the properties that are actively under contract in the subdivision. There are 4 of them. Let's see what's going on. Cool. So I've got this. It's a little smaller, 188.9. It was on the market for 2 days. Updated. Nicely updated, poorly lit, but nicely updated. Yeah, I like that. That's a pretty good comp. Pretty similar to our subject. We keep track of that by clicking it. This one, $199. It's updated as well. It's not as updated, but it's probably a little bigger. Let's see. Yep, it's $1,500. This one at $189. This one has really good photography. You can see there's issues with the walls. This is old tile floor, old vinyl. This one's not really been updated very much. I don't like this one. And then $199.9. Now this looks similar to our subject. This also hasn't been updated very much. It's got that old wood trim. Those are newer cabinets, but they picked in my opinion, not the best ones anyway. But they've got good photography as well. So I like these two. Right. Now, just because a home is under contract, say it was listed at $199.9 and it's under contract, that doesn't mean it's under contract for $199.9. However, in our market, as it is, typically speaking, homes are selling for at least what they're listed for. So my opinion is this home is under contract for at least $200,000. It may be more than that. It was only on the market for 3 days. More than likely had more than one offer on it. So we're looking at this at $123 a square foot, and this one up here, which we said was also a decent comp, at $130 a square foot. So $123 and $130. Our CMA is ready, so let's download the report. Our CMA had it at how many? $129 a square foot. So is that pretty in line with what's going on in the market? It's actually just a little bit higher than a couple of the comps, but it's not out of the realm, right? So this is 130, we're at 129. So honestly, on this particular home, my recommendation for this client would probably be to list this house at $199.9. And the reason I say that is because our market is what it is. We normally can push the price a little bit, but that's going to keep it under $200,000, which means it's going to be more appealing to a lot of people, populating their searches more. When you set somebody up to get listing notifications, you say, what's your budget? They say, oh, it's $200,000, or I'm not looking to spend more than $200,000. If you set this at $201,000, then you're going to be pricing some people out. But those people who are looking, less than $300 or less than $250 or whatever, you're still capturing them, but you're also still capturing the people looking for under $200. So that's what I'm going to recommend to this seller, is to list this home at $199.9. And I'll give them the information, show them the facts, show them the comps, show them the active listings, show them the pending listings, and let them know exactly where I got that information from. When I go through this CMA with clients, I sit down typically with them at a table or in the living room somewhere and go through this page by page. Now, I normally don't go through the whole darn thing because it's 20-something pages long. But this number here is not always what I'm going to recommend them list at. In this case, it's a little bit lower. I went to a listing presentation the other day. I recommended them list for $40,000 more than what the CMA came in because of the things going on in the market. And when those homes that were pending end up closing, then that's going to bump this up, right? So you got to keep that in mind. Anyway, just to give you a brief rundown of what this report looks like, the first couple pages have the basic info about the property. This has the things about the subject property. As we go down, you're going to see your worksheet where you made adjustments. That's the important part, and that's what we're going to go through with the client typically, or what I do at least. And I show them why I made the adjustments I made. I explain to them where I came up with the numbers. And then I hand the report to them, and I let them look through the comps, because as you scroll down, it has photos. So they can see, wow, my home's not updated at all. This home has beautiful flooring. It's all been repainted, nice cabinets, nice this, nice that. And that home sold for, $193,000 or whatever the case was. There's no way my home is going to sell for that same amount. So I understand what this crazy realtor's saying when they say, even though the other home sold at this, I think you should probably list here. Or vice versa. Maybe your home's much nicer than this one, and we feel like we can get more. This just helps the client to understand where you're coming from as an agent and why you're making the recommendation that you are making. So that is how to do a CMA. And from here, you can download that CMA by clicking the little download button. I normally either just leave it that, or I'll call it something, but I know what it is and where it is. So I'm going to print this off to take to the client, so I don't necessarily have to have to be able to find it later. Super easy. Anyway, let me know if you have any questions. That is the basis of a CMA, and that was a pretty easy one. We will maybe at some point go through how to navigate one that's a little bit more tricky. But have a good day.